Okay, so before we hop into your session, I'm just going to go over a couple things. I pulled you some oracle cards, and we're not going to go over them in the session, but I will send you pictures and their guidebook descriptions. That will be a deeper level of messaging. And then I asked each one of your chakras what kind of crystals would help with your healing and your growth. And I built you a crystal grid. And so I'll send you a picture of that as well. And then I should have the replay to you today. And if not, it'll be tomorrow that I get it to you. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. So in your notes, I saw that we said we want to go over anything my higher self would like me to address to move forward or where I can be of most service. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, in between booking the session, have you had any questions that came up or anything else that you want to focus on? Any challenges that we're facing in life or areas that we want to focus on specifically?
I like to see what comes up, but I also maybe want to talk about like my blocks with motivation and like getting things started. So
Absolutely.
I thought maybe that I don't know that might come up or yeah. I
Okay.
have a lot of good ideas, but I don't end up like following through with them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute because some of
Mhm.
these things that came forward will help you with some direction as well in regards to like your spiritual gifts or what to shift into moving on your ascension journey. But is it more so motivation in 3D things like we need to be doing our laundry?
Um,
Or is
not
it bringing
not really.
or is it bringing our ideas
It's
into fruition?
bringing our ideas into fruition, and
Okay.
I think I don't know how to explain it. I think like when I'm in my own energy, like I have all these great ideas, I feel really good, I'm in the flow, but when I'm around like other people, like I feel like I get blocked from that. So, and like I'm not sure how to deal with that. Um,
Sure. Okay.
it's been a bit of an issue for me. I don't know if that this is a thing or not, but when I'm around some people, I get all these weird sensations, like the bottom of my feet start vibrating, and I get like pins and needles or like prickly feelings, and like I can even smell a weird smell around some people. It's
Hmm.
I don't know if that's a part of like something or, but it's that it triggers me sometimes because I'm not used, like it's only been happening for about a year or so, so yeah.
Okay. So with the
I don't know if
smelling
that's a
things,
yeah.
okay, with the smelling thing, so that is known as clear aliens, and that is a
Mhm.
psychic gift where you are
Yeah.
able to smell, not just people necessarily. When you get a little bit
Mhm.
more advanced in that area, you can smell plants and animals, and you can smell different timelines. Like there's a lot of different options that you can get into with that. However, it can be overwhelming, especially
Mhm.
if it's smells that are not great smells, right?
I quite often smell like a rotting smell around some people, and
Yeah.
I've like I kind of uh I associate that with like they have anxiety or negative thoughts, or there's something
Yeah.
going on within them that they need assistance with. So, but and I realize that, but sometimes it triggers me, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a weird thing, and not many people know about it. And like I've had people like my even my partner said, that it's all in my head, and but I know it's real.
No,
It's just
no, that's definitely clear. Yeah, that's definitely clear aliens. And your higher
yeah,
self is showing me that yes, you're picking up on people's anxiety and their self-limiting beliefs, but you're also picking up on their resonant frequency. So if they have a
yeah,
lot of unprocessed trauma, it's
yeah.
kind of your
Mhm.
body's indicator of, hey, this person's probably not in vibrational alignment with us. And you're
Yes.
probably using it as a defense mechanism, which is really funny because you pulled a porcupine card. And I was wondering why you pulled that. And I was like, oh, it's because she's trying to keep people away from her. Yeah, it's probably your body's line of defense of like, hey, this person's not for us. So we need to
Mhm.
figure out if that is what you were utilizing that gift for. Why are we using that defense mechanism? Is it because I don't think it's just you channeling. I don't think, I think it's some type of safety trauma response of like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what's going on with this person before they get into my energy field or we start connecting with one another. So I know that you said that you are a little nervous around people because of our hypersensitivity and we're just getting blasted with people's energy fields. But that's only
Mm-hmm.
been happening for the last year. So what
Uh,
was
I
the
would say
shift?
maybe the last two, probably the last 2 years, but yeah, I've, it's been, it can be quite overwhelming. Like I can even like in the shopping center sometimes I'll be skipping along in a good mood, like la di da, like, and
Yes.
then all of a sudden that smell comes, and I'm like, oh no. But it's not just the smell. It usually comes with some sensations, like it's like a someone's thrown a heavy blanket over my head or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite unpleasant sometimes. And I'm not sure. Like I try to manage my energy. I do the Maharic seal, so the 12th dimensional shielding and
Mm-hmm.
grounding, and I do that quite often. And I try and keep active and like eat healthier and all those things to keep myself. I find when I do all that, like I'm a lot stronger and I don't get so overwhelmed by that sort of thing when I do come across it. But if I'm tired or something like that, like I could even have an anxiety attack from it. So if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. And it is more difficult
Yeah.
to mitigate our channels when we're tired and exhausted. And so sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we get caught in these loops where we're just constantly tired and exhausted because of our spiritual gifts and then it had just like vortexes, right? So what do you think happened 2 years ago? What was the significant
Um,
marker there?
well, what I actually like because I've been with my boyfriend for about 8 years now, and
Mhm.
I left his house. I left him for about 6 months, and I was on my own journey, and I pretty much spent 6 months alone, and I like went within and like I didn't really talk to many people. I just did lots of like sound healing and reading and learning, and I made myself a moldavite pendant,
Okay.
and I've been wearing that since.
Okay.
um, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it seems to me like since I've been wearing that, a lot of things have changed. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So on that self-discovery trip, it sounds like that you blasted open your channels through all of the frequency work that you were doing and probably trauma work and shadow work and all these things. So
Hmm.
you opened them up really wide and maybe a little too wide for what tools and resources that we have. And so now we're having a hard time mitigating that. Okay. So the moldavite that you're wearing, moldavite is going to amplify everything. It is going to
Hmm.
amplify everything. Okay. So crystals are programmable. And
Hmm.
I don't even like to say programmable necessarily because that makes it sound like we're being like a dictator over them, right? So we can ask them to do specific things for us. Okay. So if we have not asked the Moldavite to do anything or just to help us with change, okay,
Hmm.
it's just going to be running all willy-nilly, amplifying everything. So I would ask the Moldavite to help you amplify your channels and your ability to turn them up and turn them down and to
Hmm.
help amplify your shields so that they're stronger when you're around other people and that you're not getting blasted with so much energy. Like you can actually utilize that moldavite on you to encode in that shield that you use, that 12-dimensional shield, and ask it, I need your help in turning down these gifts right now. Right? When you were out in public. We don't want to turn them down,
Hmm.
permanently necessarily, but we want to have a better handle on them. And our subconscious works really well with imagery and symbology. So if you can, before you go into the store, when you're in the car or before you walk in, you can envision a dial
Hmm.
Okay. And turn it down and ask your Moldavite to help you with that. So you're not getting it so intensely when you go in there. Okay. But we also had
Yeah,
to
that's
figure out why you're doing that as a safety trauma response. Okay. Because that's the root of it. So were we nervous to be around people before that 2 years ago?
um I did used to have a lot of social anxiety. I don't anymore. Like I used to walk around with my head down pretty much. And I remember one of the first things I heard my guide say was, put your head up and straighten your shoulders
Okay.
and and put your and be yourself, don't be afraid to be yourself. So um yeah. So I'm a lot more confident now, but back then maybe I was pretty nervous around people. I had a lot of self-confidence issues, but I'm a lot more confident now. And I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, "Wow, you've come a long way. I'm so proud of you." Like, um, I, I guess I've been a positive example for a lot of people in my life, who were like me a few years ago. And yeah.
That's
So,
beautiful. Okay. Okay.
mm,
So it sounds like to me that we have learned how to hold energetic or not energetic, interpersonal boundaries. That's boundaries that we have with other people in our life, like humans. Okay. In
mm-hmm,
regards to not being a people pleaser and not masking and things of that nature. Now it sounds like we're moving into the chapter of holding energetic boundaries. This is where we are not
yep,
taking on other people's thoughts, feelings, moods, their emotions. We're not frequency reading other people 24/7. That's what it sounds like is happening with you right now is we're just so open to all of the frequencies around us and it's getting very
mm-hmm.
overwhelming. Okay, especially because we don't want to read some people's energy because it's intense,
No,
chaotic stuff going on. Okay.
sometimes it actually feels like it hurts me. Like
Oh, for sure.
I feel it's hard to explain, but I feel sad. Like I don't know how to explain it.
I know
I
exactly
can
what
I
you
can
mean
I
because
can
I have
see the
been there myself.
dynamics of I can see the dynamics of what's going on with people in their minds and what's happening, and I wish I could change it for them, but I can't.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You're just a very proficient. You're a very proficient energy reader, but we don't have all the tools and resources to mitigate that yet.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and that makes sense with one of these gifts that we're going to talk about that you have because you have to be a strong channeler in order to do the things that you can do. So, I am going to send you a long list of videos on empathic boundaries and energetic boundaries that helped me on my journey. And just you listening to them will help you mitigate your channels more proficiently where you're not picking up on everything all the time. We definitely have clear aliens. I also think that you have clear sentience and you have clear cognizance. So
Yep.
researching about those and okay, researching about them and listening to other channelers talk about those gifts will also help you fine tune them and be able to turn them when you need. So would you like me to send you videos on those as well?
That would be great. Thank
Okay,
you.
yes.
Appreciate
I'm
that.
gonna make a note so I
Hmm.
remember. Okay, clear salience, sentience, and cognizance. And this is not to say that you cannot learn the other spiritual gifts. These are the ones that you're very proficient in right now. Okay, so if we focus on those and how to mitigate them better, you'll have a better time out in public. Okay. So when we are out and about in social situations, are you in fear? Are we in anxiety? Are we scared? Or is it more so I'm just getting hit with all this stuff?
To be honest, I don't really get anxiety when I go out, and
Hmm.
like I said, I'll be walking along happily, but then I'll be hit with that smell and that heaviness, and
Yes.
it's just like, oh, and then I'm like, no, sometimes I feel like it stays with me, the heaviness that that I pick up, and it makes me feel dizzy and tired, and like I feel like I
Hmm.
have a blanket over my head or something.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh no, not again. But I guess I'm learning that even though that happens, I can actually clear it myself. Like I can do that. But
Yeah, but we don't want it in
sometimes
the
I
first place.
no, that's right.
Okay.
It's been very difficult for me lately because I feel like I'm constantly clearing my field and then picking it up again and clearing, then um and trying everything to keep like myself feeling, because normally I'm like naturally a very bubbly person and happy and positive, to like that's what people like about me normally. So but when I feel so much heaviness, like I'm not really help to anyone.
Yeah,
So
you're like bogged down and heavy
mm.
and probably
And kind of
irritable.
grumpy and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So oftentimes when I meet persons that are experiencing what you're experiencing, it's one of two things or both things. It's inner children within that are frequency reading because of a safety trauma response, because they feel scared around other people. So they're like, I need to know what's going on with everybody around me. That doesn't sound what's going on with you. It just sounds like, hey, we opened our channels so incredibly wide and now we're just perceiving everything and we don't know how to regulate it. So I'm going to send you a bunch of resources to watch on that, and that will be
Mhm.
beneficial. Your higher self said too, when I was in the place that you're at, because that happened to me as well. It's funny that this porcupine came up because you can ask a you can ask the consciousness of the porcupine spirit. You can ask one to walk around your field while you're out in public and just envision that you have this little porcupine and you can ask him or her to circle your field when you're in public to maintain another barrier for you. Porcupines,
Okay.
when you're working with them, really love treats. They love
Mm.
for you to give them like fruits and nuts. Just in your imagination, you can send him or her like little treats, and they would love to help you with that. They're one of the spirit guides that you can call on for boundaries. I
Wow,
used to
that's
do
pretty
that
cool. I
before I
didn't know
went
that.
into like Target or Walmart or whatever store
Mm.
I was going into. I would request one to come and do that for me. And so I worked with one for quite a while and he was very sweet. I feel like that would
Mm.
help you as well.
Cool. I'll try
And
that.
asking your
Mhm.
moldavite,
Yes,
giving it
I know
directions.
a lot. I've learned a lot about crystals. It's one of my passions, but I did not program the Moldavite, so that's something I probably should do.
Yes, I would say, hey, I don't have energy to be doing this all the time. I want to do this more intentionally when it is my choice to do so,
Hmm.
right? Because there are going to be times where you are going to want to utilize those gifts that you have purposefully. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll send you those. Now, as far as the motivation piece, when you were saying, I have these things that I want to bring into fruition, but this issue that I'm having with people in their energy fields is kind of blocking me there. What exactly is it that you're trying to bring into fruition then in regards to other people being involved?
Um, the thing is, I'm not really sure at the moment, like what I want to do. But when I have, like, I did have ideas and things like that. Like I wanted to do Reiki healing, and I wanted to I had sell crystals from home and things, but that didn't work out. I've had lots of ideas, but I feel like in the last like maybe year or two, it kind of has been on the back burner, those ideas, and so I've been more focusing on the people around me and the sensations I get and things like that, if that makes sense. Not that it's a bad thing, because we're all learning and growing together, which is really beautiful, and it's good, but sometimes I feel resentment towards them for that,
Mhm.
because yeah, that's I'm a bit confused.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So
I'm not really
maybe
sure
we're
I'm not really sure what I am supposed to be doing, like what my mission is, like what I'm here for, in a way. That makes sense.
it does. Maybe
Mm.
we are Okay, there's a couple different layers here. One, we might still be in a learning phase. Maybe we haven't
Mhm.
found the key of what we're really interested in and that really lights us up and ignites us. Kind of like I was going to school for psychology because I was like, oh, I want to help people, right? And then that didn't pan out. And I was like, okay. So then I went to go, I had a doggy daycare, eventually didn't pan out, went to go be a bar manager, went to go work at a nonprofit. I was helping people, but it wasn't the thing. And then I got into my spiritual journey deeper and I found the Akashic records and I was like, oh, that feels in resonance. But it took me a long time of like doing all these other things to figure out what exactly that thing was because it was a timing as well, right? So maybe we're still a little bit in the learning phase. But as far as your soul mission and kind of pointing you further down that direction, what do you want to be helping people with? Just in general, like if somebody is saying to you, hey, I have this problem, and if I could just have this solution, my life would be so different. And when you think about that, what comes up as far as, oh, I could help you with that. I'm so good at this. I'm so confident in this because I have experienced this. I've been through this. I can help you in these areas. What comes up for you when I say that?
To be honest, I find like I'm quite passionate about helping people that have had addiction problems and things
Mm.
like that because I have been there, and I think it's been about 2.5 years now since I haven't used drugs or alcohol. So
Oh, congratulations.
um that's one thing that I really enjoy doing, and sharing like my knowledge and techniques and things to people about like you know reprogramming the brain and
Okay.
yeah, and getting past addictions. And my dream actually was like, if I when I won lotto, was to open up a rehabilitation place, but for mind, body, and spirit, not focusing on all your problems, but focusing on like healing all those aspects, like not like the traditional way. So that was a thing that I thought I would really like to do, but it's quite a big one, big dream. So, but yeah, that's something I'm quite passionate about. I'm also very passionate about crystals. I know what crystals everyone needs, and um, yeah, I'm very because I feel the crystals really. Yeah, I have them like behind me, right? I don't know if you can
I
see them.
saw I saw a lot of crystals back there. Yeah. I was like, oh, she really likes
Yeah.
crystals.
Yes, I do. I love them. I was gonna yeah, open up a crystal shop, but I don't think that's my thing. Like I know I'm still discovering it, I guess, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe you really enjoy crystals, but we don't necessarily want to make a business out of it. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I do,
So
but like I'm I don't know. I was hoping to get a little bit of like insight into as to what direction I'm supposed to be.
well,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about that too. So what is it about the crystal business that you are having an aversion to?
I'm just not sure if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, to be honest.
What do
I
you
feel
mean
like it's
supposed
supposed to
what do you
be
mean supposed to be doing? Because
um
it sounds like to me, okay, this is where people get tripped up
yep.
with their soul missions and things. It
Mm-hmm.
is what am I supposed to be doing? Like there's some type of cosmic parents or guides up here that are saying, hey, this is what you're supposed, right? It's also
Yeah.
whatever you want to choose to do that brings you joy and fulfillment. So if
And lights you up.
crystals really, really light you up and you only have that crystal business for a year, and then you say, okay, now I want to go do this over here, there's not necessarily anything that, like what you should and shouldn't be doing. It's more what makes me happy. Because if we are looking through the lenses of what we should be doing for others and what they need from us, that's going to lead to major burnout
Mm-hmm.
because we're pedestalizing other people and putting their needs and wants and desires above ours. And so I think that's a little bit of the perspective lens that you've been looking through of, well, what am I supposed to be helping these people with over here? What
Mm-hmm.
do you want to help people with? You. And when you were talking about the addiction center, like a holistic addiction center, your body started lighting up, but then I could also see the
Mm-hmm.
fear and the anxiety of, well, how the heck am I going to do that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, okay. There was a time in my life where I was getting interested in the Akashic records, and I was so nervous and scared to like host sessions and, get into it and start a business and all these different things. And one of my big goals was to host retreats. I was like, I really, really want to do that. And I was like, how the heck am I going to get there? That seems like an impossibility, right? Well, a couple years in, I'm now hosting a retreat next year, and it was so easy and smooth of a process to get there because instead of focusing on all the things that I'm not going to be able to do to get me there, or how long that's going to take, or how am I going to figure it out, I said, it's a dream, it's a goal, it's a desire, and I will take action steps every day, and then it'll work itself out and I'll get there. And then that happens. So that's kind of where you're sitting right now of, do we want that to happen? If that's something that we really, really want, why can we not have that as a goal and be working towards these other things on the way there? How do we know that you jumping into that crystal business is not going to provide you with the right opportunities and the right people and the right experiences and get you to the path of this thing over here? If you make this
Yeah.
an inevitable, like that's really what you want to do, you're going to get there either way. But your logical and analytical mind is saying, well, how? Where's the money? How are we going to do this? I don't even know how to coach people yet. All these like things that are impeding you when it's like your higher self is saying, we don't need you to know all that stuff right now. We
Mm.
just need you to believe in your own dream. Okay, what comes up when
Yeah.
I say that?
Um, I was agreeing with you, but yeah, I'm just thinking back of to when I was like very excited about setting up the business, and yeah, that's what yeah. I registered a business name, and I
Hmm.
was like, yeah, I'm getting it started.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened after that. So it didn't happen. So
Well, it may not have been
yeah.
time. It may not have been time.
Mm.
You can work on other goals and dreams on the way to the bigger one too. That's okay. Your higher self is saying we don't necessarily have to get into the crystal business. Well, let's take that for example. Okay. That
Mhm.
is a more short-term goal of something that we enjoy, that we're
Mhm.
passionate about, that we would be supporting other people and learn how to run a business through that. And all of that knowledge and wisdom and tools and resources is going to help us apply that over here when we do eventually get to that business. So maybe it wasn't time for that yet.
Mhm. I
Just
think I
like,
was still doing a lot of healing, and like a lot of you know, I was doing a lot of work on myself still. So um, which I've done a lot. So I'm kind of ready to like go on the next phase of my life. So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, we probably had to work on a lot of like confidence and self-concept and priming ourselves to even think of ourselves in this reality over here. And your higher self is saying too, you might have that goal and dream in mind, but it might pivot and shift as well. I can read in your energy field where we're looking at ourselves as a flaky person, that we're worried
Mhm.
about going after something because we're a little concerned with, am I just going to drop this 2 or 3 months in? And is my interest going to shift and pivot?
Mhm.
So your higher self is saying we need to find, instead of these tangible businesses, let's say crystal business or the addiction center, what is it that we ultimately want to be helping people within their life and make that the goal? And then when you are making these decisions throughout the day or whatever directions you're going towards, ultimately it's getting you here. So you'll always be on the right path. it may look different the way that you get there, but if we have this ultimate goal in mind, it's going to be much easier to get there. Okay, so again, is it that we really want to be helping people through addiction healing, or is it a vaster net as well of what we want to be helping people with?
I would say it's a vaster net. Definitely.
Holistic healing.
Yes, like
Okay.
I just like to share my knowledge with people, like the things I've learned on myself, and the things that have helped me, and like I'd like to share that with other people.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think one of
in
the
some way.
reasons that you are a little trepidatious about getting into that, and we might have some not necessarily self-sabotaging behaviors, but saying, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to get into it. I don't know if I want to take these action steps. I think that is because you are having these negative experiences with people and getting overwhelmed and getting overstimulated because of all the frequencies that are being blasted your way. And so subconsciously, if we start heading towards our dreams in these areas, that means that we're going to have to be around more people and their
Mm,
energy fields. And is that going to get more intense and out of control? Am I going to be even more exhausted and burnt out and overstimulated? Which I totally get that, because that was a phase that I went in because I was experiencing similar things. And I said, okay, well, in order to move forward on my dreams, I have to get a handle on this in order to move forward. So that's why your higher self is saying, hey, we really need to double down on figuring out how to hold energetic boundaries with people and let that be this next chapter of our life so that we can shift our energy field to somebody who is a frequency match for these goals and desires over here. Like
hmm
we need to shift that root issue that's going on right now, which I'm going to send you a bunch of videos for that for you to kickstart on that. But higher self is like, hey, the way that we are looking at our goals right now is, well, what if I do this business? And what if I do this business? And what if I do this business and this business? And she's saying, let's not look at the 3D tangible logistics of that right now. We need to get a little bit more clearer on what exactly we want to be helping people with,
Okay.
because that is going to be your big motivator, and that's what's going to get you up and moving every day and taking those inspired action steps. Because if we're looking through that lens of this is what I want to help people with, whatever you do is going to feel in or going to feel in fulfillment. It's going to say, oh yeah, I'm working towards my dream every day. I'm working towards my goal, all the steps that I'm taking. If I make pivots, that's fine. If I choose to do something else, all right, it's still headed towards this over here, because you are a multi-passionate. That means you are going to shift continuously through life. I do new things almost every single day. I never stick to the same thing. I'm very much, I'm going to start this project and do this and learn this modality and just all these and try all these different things because I get bored very easily.
I love learning about so many different things.
Mhm.
I've spent the last few years learning, like one night I'll be learning about one thing and the next, like it's crazy. Like I've learned a lot in the last few years, that's for sure.
Yeah, so we have to accept that about ourselves, that we
Yeah,
are a forever learner and we're never going to stay the same and we're always going to be trying new things. And so that's why your higher self is saying, hey, it's really important to find that pillar within of this is what I want to be helping people with. And even that can ebb and flow. But what it sounds like for your pillar is I want to help people holistically heal and find balance within themselves.
yeah,
Okay. If we have that overarching here, it doesn't matter what the businesses are, it doesn't matter what kind of sessions it is. We're going to be on that path and it's going to give us a lot more direction and clarity.
that sounds good. Yep.
Okay. And the other pieces work themselves out how they're meant to. Okay. So, questions about that before we get into what your higher self wanted to talk about here? Oh, my camera.
No questions. I just thought I'd say I feel like the environment I'm in at the moment is sort of like a training ground. Like I'm supposed to, it's kind of like I'm learning like in this environment for a reason.
Hmm.
So I think that's what's going on. But yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm failing in that in
Oh,
that in
you're
the in the training.
you're probably just going through whatever you're going to be helping people with, because if you want to help people in their spiritual ascension journeys and help them learn how to be grounded within self and how to find a good homeostasis within and how to have good self-concept and confidence and regulate their channels so they're not over anxious and overstimulated, guess who has to do that first?
Yes, that's right.
So that
Yeah.
you become a master at it, so that when we do get to this center or whatever it is that you choose to do, you have all those tools and resources to pass on to others. So training phase, like you said right now.
Yeah.
So take a breath. Okay. And your higher self said, let's just focus on energetic boundaries right now so that we feel
Mm-hmm.
better in our regular human life experience. Because once you figure out how to do that, you're going to be an open receiver for more insights and downloads and intuitive nudges from your higher self with very specific instructions on what to do to move forward. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
overstimulated and overactivated and we're not liking being around other people right now, we're not a vibrational frequency match for the version of us that gets those very specific instructions.
Yep, that makes
So
sense.
she's saying, you do this over
Mm-hmm.
here, and then I'll meet you on the other side with what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how does that sound when I say that? Or when your higher self says that?
That sounds good. It's such a good feeling when you are in the flow and you are receiving those intuitive
Oh, yeah.
downloads. And I often get frustrated because I miss that sometimes. It's
Yeah.
a good feeling. Yeah. So,
She's saying don't overthink it. Just work on the energetic boundaries right now. And then she'll
yeah.
meet you on the other side with the next chapter instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we can't be all frizzle frazzly and getting intuitive
No,
downloads and guidance. It doesn't work like that, right? So we got to
it
center in
doesn't.
here. Okay. Yes. Okay. So when I went into your energy field, I saw the. Have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so went in there and I saw the house from The Wizard of Oz, and you
Yeah.
were inside the house, and the house was like spinning. And I
Mm-hmm.
walked up to you and I was like, "What's going on?" And you said, "Sometimes I feel like Dorothy in the house that's spinning." And you said, "Sometimes I feel like the witch that the house fell on." And
Mm-hmm.
I went to go look under the house, and you were under there and your feet were poking out, and I was like, "Hey, are you all right?" And you were being very dramatic. It was really funny, but you were like under the house. I was like, okay. And I said, well, do you want to come out here and take a walk with me so we can talk? And you said yes. And I said, oh, do you want to walk on the yellow brick road? I said, it's your manifest destiny. And she thought that was really funny. So we start walking, and she was like, I don't think that I want to be on this road. She was like, there's really wacky things that happen on the yellow brick road. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I said, do you want to go somewhere that's a little bit more open and luxurious and fun? And she said yes. And so I took her to the Mermaid Crystal Caves in Lumeria, which I'm going to send you a meditation on if you want to connect there. It's kind of like a spa. And her and I
Mm-hmm.
were sitting on these kind of beach chairs, and we had these like pineapple drinks in our hand, and we were kind of just like relaxing and hanging out. She really needed that to just chill out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I was telling her why I was here today to support you in whatever way that you needed. And I said, is there anything that you want to tell me or show me or that you need help and support with? And she said, oh, I want to tell you about this other incarnation. I said, great. And do you know who Quetzalcoatl is?
Not really.
Okay, so he is a Mayan Aztec god in mythology.
Mm-hmm.
He is the winged serpent. He looks like this really big giant snake, and he has all these colorful wings on him. I will send you his name so you can do some
Mm-hmm.
research on him. I used to work with him back in the day when I was doing a little bit more channeling guides work. He's very nice. He is the god of rain, science, and agriculture. And excuse me, he also has a human form that he can turn into, okay, like an actual man. And she went like this. She was like, I had a fling with him back in the day. And I was like, oh, I said, you had a relationship with him? And she said, yes. I said, ooh, that's some hot tea. Okay. I said, that's fun. And so I said, can I meet with the version of yourself that had this relationship with him? And she said yes. And so me and her went back in time, and you were a Mayan priestess in this other incarnation. So
Yep.
it's going to be really beneficial for you. And she didn't have like a long-standing relationship with Quetzalcoatl. They were kind of just like passing and like knew each other, a situationship, if you will. Okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay. So it would be really beneficial for you to research about Mayan culture, because it is going to help you get downloads about that different incarnation of yours as a priestess.
Yep.
Okay. And also Quetzalcoatl. I'm sure you'll have some memories pop up from your time with him. Okay. So when we went to go speak with her, we went to her home, if you will, and we asked if we could come inside, and she said, yes, come in. And then I told her why I was there. And then your energy body was with me as well. And I was like, this is Christie. And she was like, I know her. And so
Mm.
sat down, and I was asking her if there was anything that she wanted to relay to you or to help you with. And she said yes. And she snapped her fingers, and she had this quill or this pen kind of in her hand. And it had this really long, beautiful purple and blue feather on it, which I think was one of Quetzalcoatl's feathers, looking back at it now. But she got out this parchment paper, if you will, and she said, I want you to write exactly what I'm about to say to relay to you. Okay. So she said, open your mind to new possibilities. Nothing is out of your reach. She said
Mm-hmm.
you needed to hear that from her very specifically, because it's going to activate something within you. Okay.
Okay.
There is a book called, which I'll send you the name of it. It's called Gods of Jade and Shadow. And it is about this girl who lives, I can't remember where it is exactly, but it has to do with Mayan culture. It's very spiritually activating. It's very fun and magical and mystical. Your higher self recommended that you read it because it will help you connect with this priestess. Okay. She said her name is Harknonami, is what you can call her, Harknonami, which I will send you her name as well. She will help.
The other version. The
Yes,
other.
your other incarnation is named Harknonami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow.
Also, are you okay going over a little bit with your session with time?
Yes, I am. Yep. As long as
Okay.
that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah, it's totally fine. I just want to make sure, because I have a different incarnation I have to tell you about as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, Harknonami, and she will help you with your energy healing abilities and with your channeling abilities.
Okay.
Okay. So this looks like you researching about Quetzalcoatl, Mayan culture. You can look at pictures. You can do Mayan meditations, Mayan healings. You can find those on YouTube. Going in meditation and asking to speak with her, or just simply receiving downloads and insights and guidance. You can also ask her to help you with your channeling abilities when you're going out in public, and asking her to help you turn them down
Okay.
or to regulate them, if you will. Okay, and she can help you with that because she's a very advanced healer. So when I asked her if there was anything else, she said, yes, you need to go see something else. And I said, okay. And all of a sudden, the room started collapsing, and it started turning into these like shapes, and it was morphing. Basically, the reality started fragmenting down. And me and your energy body started falling into the darkness, and Harknotomy was just like waving to us like she thought it was funny, and I was like, okay,
Mm.
where are we going? And when I did, this is going to sound a little intense when I say it at first, when I fell, I landed on this big giant spike and it went through my back. And I was
Mm.
kind of like suspended on it. And I was like, okay, what's happening? And I got off of the spike and I looked over and there was a female that had been speared back there. And when I looked up, I saw that there was this big giant cliff and there was an ocean that we were next to, and it was all of these like rock fragmentations at the bottom, and she had fallen off and landed on it by accident. She didn't mean to. She like slipped and fell. So there was nobody else around, and I was trying to, obviously wake her up, but she had already passed. And I said, okay, I need to speak to her soul so I can figure out what happened. And so I couldn't find her at first. And I just started walking down the beach. And then I found her. And it was her spirit, basically, that was sitting on this beach. And I came and sat next to her, and your energy body was with me as well. And I said, hey, and I introduced myself. And she told me that she's a different incarnation of you as well, that had died in this place and space. And I said, well, can you tell me what happened? And she said she was out and about. She slipped and fell, and nobody found her, because she was in this place that was very, she wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, but it was tucked away in a place that, like, if you weren't looking for her there, you wouldn't find her, right? So she had a family, and obviously the family was distraught that she went missing. And she was 18 years old in this incarnation. And so sometimes we have these pieces of us that get caught in these time loops because they have unprocessed trauma. And that's basically what was happening here. She was stuck in a loop where she was just sitting on this beach waiting to be found. And I said, well, we found you.
Mm.
I said, I heard you. I heard you calling. Okay. Sometimes when clients like yourself book sessions with me, it is for you, but then it's also because there's these other incarnations that know that you and my energy body can come in and help them. So she was
Okay.
also pinging you to book the session.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, so I've had that happen a couple times. It's really interesting. So I'm sitting there with her, and I was like, "Well, we found you. Um, would it be okay to perform a ceremony over your physical body so that we can release her from this?" And she said yes. And I said, okay, would you like to bury her, or would you like to send her off into the ocean? And she said, I'd like to send her into the ocean. So me, her, and your energy body performed a ceremony of funeral rites, sent her off. And then I asked her if she wanted to move on to her next incarnation, because there's this piece of your soul that was kind of just stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your higher self wanted me to ask you if you've ever felt this very deep sense of loneliness or regret, and you don't know where it's coming from.
I'm not really sure. Probably, I guess, yeah. But I'm trying to think of, yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest.
It's okay. If you
Mm.
have ever felt that before, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it is us perceiving things in our own Akashic fields, but not understanding where and why it's coming from. And sometimes it's not from this incarnation. Sometimes it's from other ones that are requesting our help and support.
Okay.
So she was dealing with a lot of loneliness and regret from what had happened with her. So your higher self just wanted me to bring that up. Like, hey, if you've ever felt that before, it's not necessarily having to do with you. It is, because it's part of your soul. But so I said, do you want to move on to your next incarnation, or do you want to learn how to become a spirit guide to your family? And she didn't know that that was an option. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, your family's going to grow up and you could be a guide and a guardian to them. I said, or you don't have to. You can just move on and do whatever you want to do. And she said, no, I really want to do that, because she had siblings as well that she wanted to watch over. And she said, but I don't know how to become a spirit guide. I said, okay, my higher self will stay here with you, or one of my versions of my higher selves, and she will teach you how to become a spirit guide to your family. And she was like, "Oh, great." I said, "Yeah, we can do that." And I asked her what her name was, and she said Mary.
Mhm.
And I said, or I asked why this incarnation was coming forward, because typically they're coming forward to teach you something or for you to help them, but there was some kind of lesson in there. And I was like, "Oh, duh." I said, "The reason that your energy body needed to come in here with me is because so she could see how soul fragmentation healing works, because you can become a soul fragment healer."
Mhm.
So soul fragment healing is going in and finding these versions of ourselves, whether they're inner children or different incarnations that are caught in
Yep.
these loops or unprocessed trauma. And then we are able to help them heal through it so they can reintegrate back into our soul and find that peace and that love in order to either move on to the next incarnation or to become a mentor or a guide for us in this one, or to help somebody's inner children move up to a higher timeline, which helps the human in the now also move up to a higher timeline. So it's helping people with these fragmented pieces that are unresolved. And that's also probably why you were drawn to do addiction healing as well,
Mhm.
because underneath the addictions are fragments, typically because of their inner children with unprocessed things that
Yep.
push them to get into the addictions in the first place. And so deeper underneath that is you being a soul fragment healer. And so I was asking your energy body if that's something that she would be interested in learning how to do. And she said yes. And I said, "Okay, great." I said, "I would love to teach Mary and you how to do these things in the etheric realms." Uh, I said, "Do you want to stay here with Mary and learn how to do it?" And she said, if Mary is open to that. And Mary said, "I would love to have a spirit friend," because she did not want to just be a spirit guide in there by herself, because that's scary to think about just being in there, right? So part of your energy body is going to be in there with her, going to, I wouldn't even call it a school, but my higher self teaching them different things for soul
Wow, that's
fragment
wicked.
healing and how to become a spirit guide. Okay. If that is okay with you, of course, because you have autonomy over your body. So if you say no to that, your energy body doesn't have to do that.
One of the first things I ever wrote down when I started like hearing things, and like I used to get a pen and start writing things. That was one of the first things I ever wrote down was soul fragments.
Nice.
I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
They also gave me like northeast and other things, and I just wrote them all down, and I was like, I don't know what any of this means, but that's what I heard. So, but
Well,
yeah,
that
that
was
was one of
coming
the
from in
first
your
things.
soul.
Hmm.
That's part of your soul mission,
Okay.
is helping people with these fragmented pieces of self. And that's really funny too that you were talking about the pen, because that's what the priestess what was doing as well. And I was like,
Yeah.
there's not pens and papers back there in like Mayan culture like we have now. And I think that's because it was supposed to be symbolism for you of like, hey, we're writing these things and coming
Hmm.
into fruition. Okay.
I've
So,
had
oh, go
I've
ahead.
had many times where I've been told, like I hear get a pen, so I get a pen and start writing things, and it's usually some really good advice. Um, yeah, there's a lot of like random things that come through, but it's yeah, that's one of the first things I ever wrote, so it's interesting.
Well, that was good advice from her too. Open your mind to new possibilities. Nothing is out of your reach. Okay. And in reference to that, it's, hey, we can do this very high level etheric work. And that's also probably why you blasted open your channels, because you have to be a proficient channeler in order to reach that deep within somebody's Akashic records, whether it's with their inner children or different incarnations. It takes very fine-tuned perception abilities to be able to find these fragmentations and to be able to go in and help them in real time work out whatever type of trauma that they have experienced, to help them either move to the next incarnation or to reintegrate with the human here. We've got to have very open channels to be able to perceive those things. But at the same time, if we're not regulating our channels in the 3D realms when we are out and about in social situations, that's when it starts harming us. So that's why your
Mhm.
higher self is like, hey, if we want to get into this gift over here, we got to learn this stuff over here. How to mitigate our 3D reality a little bit better. Which you have been doing. Your higher self's not saying like, hey, you haven't been doing, like, you're on the exact path that you're supposed to be. You just needed some extra assistance. Okay. And then my higher self is going to be helping Mary in your energy body on the etheric level, learning things as well. So for you with soul fragment healing, the best route for that right now with the level that you're at is continuing to learn about subconscious mindset reprogramming, because that helps
Mhm.
humans. It helps them with the psychology portion and helping them with their mental body, but then also learning about inner child healing. Because when we help people with their inner children and help them heal, that is an easier way for us to learn how to do soul fragment healing with different timelines. Because the inner children are difficult. The inner children are technically different timelines as well, because they live in a different consciousness space. They're different timelines than us in the current, but they're more
Mhm.
tangible to you because you have memories of them. It's easier to
Yeah.
access those timelines, right? So once you learn how to do that with your inner children or other people's inner children, it's very easy to start accessing different incarnations of self for others.
Yeah.
Okay. So with her, let me see what your higher self is saying here. So with her, what we were doing today was, one, letting her know that she's not alone, because she thought she was going to be stuck there forever and that her physical body was never going to be able to get the rest or peace that she deserved or needed. And also that her family was not going to be taken care of and that they were going to be in grief forever. And so I was explaining to her that in being a spirit guide for them, she would be able to give them a lot of comfort because they would feel her around. It wouldn't be a forever lost connection. And at the same time, I said, if you learn how to be a spirit guide in this incarnation, I said, you're not bound to this place, because they lived in this kind of like small town in the city. I said, you can kind of do the same thing that I'm doing right now. If there's this sage, but then I can also split myself into many different versions and help people in the ethers with different things. I said, you can do that too. I said, you can be a spirit guide to your family, but then you could go like do all these other things in the cosmos as well and split yourself. And she was like, oh, and I said, yeah, you're not bound here. You're a spirit now. You can go wherever you want. Okay. So my higher self is also going to help her learn astral traveling and how to mitigate through the cosmos like that.
That's cool.
Questions about any of these things that we're talking about?
Um, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I know it was a lot. Okay.
So, like with the soul fragment healing, so
Mhm.
that's something I can learn to do for people, or
Oh, yes.
is that
Okay.
what you
So
meant?
that's
Or
not something that you are learning how to do. That's something that you're remembering how to do, because you already have the
oh,
technique
okay,
within you. That's why you're
yeah.
drawn to have an addiction center in the first place, because that is a form of soul fragment healing, more so for like human being,
Mhm.
because it's having to do with like 3D tangible things of drugs and
Yeah.
alcohol. But deeper than that, it's no, I need to go heal those inner children inside so that we have permanent and effective change. It's not just about releasing drugs and alcohol. It's like we need to get to the root here. So that's why you're drawn to that in the first place, or probably even crystals as well, because crystals can also help with fragmentation healing.
Mhm.
So you already
Um,
have the templates. It's remembering how to do it.
I've been telling a lot of people, even just recently, about like going back to when you were a child and like going back to that moment, and because I think I might have learned that from you actually, and speaking to that version of yourself and
Hmm.
comforting them and being like a guide to them. So I found that very helpful, and I quite often share that advice with others. Is that sort of like what you mean? Or
Yes. Yeah, that's
Mm,
the beginning stages of that. And the reason that you're drawn to that in the first place is because you're a soul fragment healer. Not everybody's drawn to inner child healing or to teach that or to
okay.
pass that on. It's because you have a deep inherent knowing of this is how we heal you on a whole holistic level, but not just with
Mm,
children. That's a great level to get to, and that's going to help the human here in this one. But then we can go even deeper and start doing that with other incarnations and then help the bigger facets of their soul and help
yeah.
them accelerate as a whole being throughout the cosmos.
Because like we have to integrate all of those lives into one eventually. Is that right? Or
Yeah, I mean, if you look all the way back at the beginning
mm,
of those incarnations, there's an oversoul. The oversoul is
mm-hmm.
like the first being of existence for that soul,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of all these different timelines are feedback looping information, and they're kind of the guardian over all of these souls. So technically, yeah, they're all one soul. It's
Mm-hmm.
fragments of that one soul. So it's learning how to bring all of them into homeostasis, and they all start feedback looping to each other and helping each other in their different incarnations. And that's how we can really start to ascend even further in the collective, because it's not just here on Earth, but it is having these radiating effects out into all these other timelines throughout time and space, like you growing as a soul. So now all your timelines are more ascended and higher consciousness and higher levels of healing. And so it's really just helping the universe or the cosmos expand in totality. The more you heal,
Mm-hmm.
the more versions of you out there that are healed in their parallel realities.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Cool. Okay. So that's the type of work that you can be doing. And for
Cool.
you to be able to even understand the things that I'm saying right now, you're a soul fragment healer because you just get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something I have to break down for you. You're like, yep, got it. And so that means we already have the template.
I quite often, like, I'm not judging people, but quite often I've said to myself, wow, they are so fragmented. Like in my like, and I don't
Yeah,
normally. It's a thing that I say, in my head. Like, so yeah,
you can
it's
see it.
weird.
Well, that's also why we really need to get a handle on our channels, because you're primed and prepped to see fragments within people.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't need to be doing that 24/7 because one, they're not paying us to do that. Okay. And you only have so much time and energy during the day. And not that we need everybody to pay us for that, but there's got to be some type of exchange. Otherwise, you get very burnout and exhausted. And that's why soul fragment healers like yourself or like myself end up making a business out of it, because now we can help people more intentionally and have an energy exchange and help at our greatest capacity, because we are utilizing our gifts in a very specific manner where it's not
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming and exhausting and burnout. So this is why your higher self is saying, hey, we were trying to get very caught up in, well, what business, what business, what business, what business, where we could kind of just redirect more of what exactly do we want to be helping people with, like soul fragment healing, and let that be our main guidance. And then whatever tangible 3D steps that we're supposed to take, those will work itself out now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to send you, learning about shamanic journeying would also help you. And I'm going to send
Yep.
you some videos about that as well. Okay, I'm making notes so I remember everything here. Okay. Okay, in the book. Okay, so I'm going to send you the Lumerian Crystal Caves meditation, because I think that'd be a nice place for you to go with your energy body like we went today. So y'all can go have a spa day and relax together. I'm going to send you videos about empathic boundaries, shamanic journeying. You're going to do research about Mayan culture and
Mm-hmm.
continue learning about subconscious mindset reprogramming and inner child healing. because those will help. And then I'm going to send you her name, Harknonomy, and Quetzalcoatl's name as well, so you can research about him too. Anything else that you need as far as resources?
I think that's a lot of resources. That's great. That's
Cool.
really good.
Okay. Higher self, like, don't overthink it. We're just going to start here, and then everything's going to work itself out for the next chapter. Okay.
I did like for a while back. I was like, I want to learn how to access the Akashic records, and I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I was like, set an intention. I'd like to learn how to access the Akashic records, and like I was falling asleep, and I saw a man, and he looked like he was like not an angel, but like he was so like neat and perfect, and he kind of looked at me. He's like, "Come with me." I'm like, okay. Um, and then I saw these like flashes of like pictures of things, and I'm not sure if that like yeah.
He's probably
So
one of your guides.
yeah,
That's
maybe.
teaching
Hey.
you about the records. Soul
Mm,
fragment healing is Akashic record work.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're right. You have the right inclination there of like, oh, I want to get into the Akashic records because that is this type of work. So you're headed in the right direction. Sometimes with the
Mm-hmm.
Akashic records, it's so vast and expansive, the different things that you can do in there. So if we're just kind of going in and trying to see what happens, it's like, I'm not really getting anything back, or I don't know what to look for. But
Mm,
if we take this, for example, and we say, okay, well, I want to learn about inner child healing and connecting to different incarnations and soul fragment healing, then when we try and access the records, it's going to give us a little bit more direction and clarity because we're looking for specific things now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm. What
Mm-hmm.
was your biggest takeaway today?
Learning about the other lives, and just yeah, it's good to get a little bit of guidance and on what you know. Sorry, I'm really tired. Hey.
Oh, I know it's late for you. I know. I know.
I think it's because of the afternoon. Yeah,
Oh, the afternoon that we had. Yes.
yeah.
Well, I am going to send you your oracle cards and your crystal grid, and then I'll send you the replay of this so that you can rewatch it. And then I will get all of these resources to you. Give me a little bit because it's a lot of resources. So I'll not have that to you the next day or two, but I'll get your crystal grid to you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. I hope you have a magical evening and get some good rest. Okay.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.